Have you ever opened your eyes in the morning and known, without any obvious reason, that the world had tilted slightly overnight? Not a bad tilt, not a dramatic one, just enough to make everything feel unfamiliar. The same bed, the same sunlight through the same curtains, the same routine waiting for you, yet your body registers a quiet dissonance, as if someone rearranged reality by a few degrees while you slept. You pour your coffee and it tastes subtly wrong. You catch your reflection and for a split second it looks like someone else is staring back. Nothing catastrophic has happened, no breakups, no losses, no sudden crises. Life on paper is unchanged, yet you move through your hours with this persistent sense that you're re-inhabiting a parallel version of your own existence. If this resonates, you're far from alone. Millions are walking around with the exact same quiet disorientation right now. And the most important thing to understand is that this feeling isn't about your personal circumstances at all. It's not a signal that your job, your relationships, or your choices have suddenly gone wrong. It's something far larger, far more universal, and ultimately far more hopeful than any individual life event. Stay with me, because once you see what's really happening, this strange off sensation might become the most welcome development of your entire year. Let me introduce you to Alex. 4 months ago, Alex had what most would call a solid, predictable life, steady career, loving partner, consistent gym habit, full social schedule. Then one ordinary Thursday he woke up and everything felt like it belonged to someone else. Same apartment, same morning kiss goodbye, same route to work, but he moved through it all like an actor who had forgotten he was in a play. The lines came out automatically, but the feeling behind them had vanished. Alex isn't losing his grip, and neither are you. What you're experiencing isn't a breakdown or a midlife crisis in disguise. It's your entire operating system quietly upgrading in response to a global shift that's been accelerating for years. Here's the part almost no one talks about openly. The human brain functions like a highly sensitive antenna, constantly calibrating itself to the dominant frequency of collective human consciousness. We don't just live in the world, we tune ourselves to its energetic signature, and right now that signature is changing faster than at any point in recorded history. The last few years have delivered an unrelenting acceleration. Technological leaps that reshape daily life, overnight social norms, flipping in real-time communication patterns, mutating work structures, dissolving and reforming even our shared sense of what's real or true, constantly renegotiated. Your brain, your nervous system, your entire perceptual apparatus has been running double shifts trying to integrate this torrent of change. And now, finally, it's pausing to install the update. The off feeling isn't a glitch or a breakdown. It's the integration phase of a massive consciousness upgrade happening in real time. Think of it like your phone receiving a major OS overhaul. For a little while, apps open slower, battery drains faster, some features feel strange until everything syncs. Your familiar world hasn't actually moved. Your internal processor has leveled up, and it needs time to recalibrate how it renders reality. This is why your coffee tastes odd, why your favorite song doesn't hit the same, why conversations with people you love can feel like they're coming through a filter. You're not depressed or disconnected. You're running new software on old hardware memories. The enhanced clarity is there, but your system is still learning how to focus it without distortion. Most people misinterpret this phase as something being wrong with their life. They start dissecting relationships, second-guessing careers, assuming the discomfort means they need to blow everything up and start over. They chase external fixes, new jobs, new cities, new partners, hoping to recapture the old familiar feeling. But the discomfort isn't coming from the outside. It's coming from the inside, growing faster than the outside can keep up. Your consciousness is expanding to perceive layers that were always present but previously invisible. Subtle energies in rooms, micro shifts in authenticity, the difference between genuine connection and performed closeness. It's like upgrading from standard definition to 8K. Suddenly, every pixel you never noticed before is sharply visible, and the old content that looked fine now reveals its flaws. This heightened resolution is an extraordinary gift, but it demands adjustment. The reason familiar things feel strange is that your new perceptual filters are highlighting misalignments you couldn't detect before. Activities that once distracted you pleasantly now feel hollow. Relationships that ran on autopilot now reveal their unspoken tensions. Environments that felt neutral now carry obvious energetic weight. Your system is no longer willing to accept input at face value. It's scanning for depth, resonance, truth. This isn't you becoming judgmental or overly sensitive. It's you becoming accurately sensitive. The world didn't get worse. Your instrument for measuring it got infinitely more precise. This collective upgrade isn't random or coincidental. It's a synchronized wave moving through humanity as we adapt to the new energetic environment we VA collectively created. Some feel it as a gentle hum, others as a full system reboot that appends everything. But the mechanism is identical, consciousness expanding to integrate higher resolution perception. The key to navigating this without unnecessary suffering is to stop treating the off feeling as an enemy to defeat. You can't go backward. Attempting to downgrade your awareness, isn't possible and wouldn't serve you even if it were. The discomfort isn't a sign you're broken. It's feedback from an intelligence far wiser than your thinking mind, highlighting what resonates with your new operating frequency and what no longer does. When something feels strange now, it's not necessarily broken its data. Your upgraded system is flagging misalignment so you can choose differently. The first major shift most people notice is perceptual filtering. Your brain is installing much finer sieves for incoming information. Where you once accepted most input at face value, you're now instinctively scanning for emotional subtext, energetic authenticity, underlying motives. You hear "I'm fine" and simultaneously register the tension underneath. You walk into a space and immediately sense the unspoken mood, like reading the room on a level that feels almost extrasensory. This isn't overwhelm or paranoia. It's enhanced emotional radar coming online. At first it can feel like too much input, like turning up the volume on a station you didn't know was broadcasting. But once integrated, it becomes one of your greatest assets, allowing you to navigate people and situations with precision most never develop. The second shift is a complete reorientation to time. Linear clock time starts feeling less relevant. Hours fly when you're immersed in something soul-nourishing, yet 15 minutes in a misaligned meeting can feel eternal. This isn't ADHD or poor focus. It's your consciousness prioritizing qualitative time over quantitative. You re-becoming allergic to experiences that waste your life force and magnetically drawn to those that expand it. Scrolling feeds that once numbed you pleasantly now register as energetic junk food. Your system has refined its palate and refuses to ingest empty calories for the mind. This explains why old distractions suddenly feel repulsive rather than relaxing. You're optimizing for depth, meaning, and presence, not mere passage of minutes. The third major shift is authenticity radar coming online with unprecedented accuracy. You're becoming exquisitely attuned to the difference between genuine expression and performance, both in others and within yourself. When someone's words don't match their energy, it registers immediately, sometimes as a physical sensation. When you catch yourself saying something that isn't fully true, it creates an internal friction that's hard to ignore. Conversations or activities that require you to play a role now produce an almost visceral discomfort. This explains why some long-standing friendships suddenly feel strained. Why social settings that used to be effortless now drain you quickly. It's not that the people around you have changed for the worse, or that you've become intolerant. Your system has simply raised its baseline for authenticity, and anything below that line now triggers an alert. Your nervous system is also recalibrating to handle vastly more complex emotional and energetic data. This is why you might feel exhausted after ordinary days that used to leave you energized. You're processing layers of information most people filter out entirely. Micro-expressions, subtle tone shifts, unspoken intentions, collective mood in groups. It's like running a high-performance engine on a track designed for economy cars. The capability is extraordinary, but it demands higher quality fuel, more rest, more solitude, more intentional nourishment. Some days, simply existing in public feels like running background apps you didn't know were open. This isn't fragility. It's the natural cost of operating at a higher bandwidth. The fourth shift is boundary crystallization. Your personal limits are hardening into clear, non-negotiable lines. Behaviors you once absorbed out of politeness now feel intolerable. Commitments you accepted automatically now trigger immediate resistance if they don't align. You might decline invitations that used to be reflexive yeses. You might pull back from dynamics that quietly eroded you over time. Family might say you're different. Friends might feel you're withdrawing. Colleagues might notice you no longer engage in the usual office games. They're correct, you are different. You're no longer available for patterns that diminish your expanded self. This boundary clarity isn't selfishness. It's self-preservation at a new level. Your system now recognizes that energy leaks are no longer sustainable. What you once tolerated to keep peace now threatens your equilibrium. Saying no isn't becoming easier because you care less. It's becoming necessary because you finally care more about your own alignment. These boundary lines aren't becoming rigid out of defensiveness. They're crystallizing out of self-knowledge. Your system now distinguishes clearly between what nourishes your expanded state and what quietly depletes it. Invitations that once felt flattering now register as potential energy drains. Obligations you accepted to avoid conflict now trigger an immediate internal no. This isn't you turning cold or selfish. It's you finally honoring the finite nature of your life force. The people who experience this upgrade most smoothly are those who stop pathologizing the discomfort and start listening to it as guidance. When a conversation feels off, they ask what misalignment it's highlighting rather than forcing themselves to fix their reaction. When an old habit no longer appeals, they explore what new impulse is trying to emerge instead of doubling down on the familiar. When relationships shift, they allow space rather than rushing to repair what may no longer fit. The off feeling is temporary, but the expanded perception it's installing is permanent. You're not regressing to some less capable version of yourself. You're advancing into a more refined one. The exhaustion, the strangeness, the sudden intolerances, they're all signs of growth, not decline. Your consciousness is outgrowing its old container, and the friction you feel is simply the container stretching to accommodate the new size. This collective awakening isn't happening in isolation. It's synchronized across millions because humanity has reached a tipping point in our evolutionary trajectory. The rapid external changes, technological, social, environmental, have forced a corresponding internal leap. We can no longer navigate this new terrain with the old perceptual tools. Your system is adapting in real time, installing the upgrades required to thrive in the emerging reality. The people who resist this process, who try to medicate or distract the discomfort away, often prolong the transition phase. They chase the old familiar feeling through new partners, new jobs, new cities, only to discover the off sensation follows them. Because it was never about the external circumstances. It was always about the internal expansion, asking for room to breathe. Those who lean in, who give themselves permission to feel strange without judgment, who trust the intelligence guiding the shift, move through the integration much faster. They emerge with a clarity, presence, and inner authority that feels almost effortless compared to the old way of operating. They make decisions from a centered place rather than reactive fear. They connect with others from authenticity rather than performance. They experience time as rich rather than rushed. The people who flow with this upgrade rather than fight it discover a quality of life they didn't even know was possible. Decisions come from a centered clarity instead of anxious overthinking. Relationships either deepen into genuine resonance or naturally release without drama. Time feels expansive because it's spent on what actually matters. Energy levels stabilize as you stop leaking vitality into misaligned obligations. You move through the world with a quiet authority that doesn't need to announce itself. Challenges still arise, but they no longer derail you because your inner anchor holds steady. The exhaustion phase passes as your system learns to process the higher bandwidth efficiently. The strangeness fades as the new normal settles in. What remains is a version of you that feels more authentic, more present, more alive in the quiet moments than the old version ever felt in the loud ones. You stop chasing intensity to feel something and start inhabiting depth as your default state. The off feeling wasn't a warning that something was wrong. It was the birth announcement of something profoundly right. Your consciousness has outgrown its old operating parameters and is installing the capacity to perceive, create, and connect on levels most people never access. This isn't about becoming superhuman or spiritually superior. It's about becoming more human, more attuned, more discerning, more intentional with the precious resource of your attention and energy. The world didn't suddenly become overwhelming. Your instrument for experiencing it became infinitely more sensitive. And sensitivity, when integrated, isn't weakness. It's power. The power to choose what enters your field. The power to discern truth from noise. The power to create from alignment rather than force. The power to live with a depth of meaning that doesn't depend on external drama. If you're in the thick of this transition right now, feeling like everything is subtly wrong when nothing obviously is, know this: you're not falling apart. You're falling into place. The furniture didn't move 2 inches left. Your perception sharpened enough to notice it was never quite centered to begin with. And now that you see it, you get to decide what stays, what goes, and how you want to arrange the space for the version of you that's finally coming home. So if you're waking up to mornings that feel subtly altered, if your routines register as slightly foreign, if the people and places you've known forever now carry a faint echo of distance, breathe easy. You're not malfunctioning. You're not losing touch. You're not slipping into some quiet crisis. You re-in the integration window of one of the most significant evolutionary leaps available to a human consciousness. The off sensation is the sound of your old operating system shutting down and the new one booting up. The furniture didn't move. Your perception simply sharpened enough to notice it was never perfectly aligned with who you're becoming. And now that you see it, you have the power to rearrange, release what no longer belongs. This upgrade isn't here to make life harder. It's here to make it truer. The exhaustion will pass as efficiency returns. The strangeness will fade as the new normal solidifies. What remains is a you that moves through the world with clearer sight, stronger boundaries, deeper presence, and an unshakable inner compass. You'll make choices from alignment rather than obligation. You'll connect from authenticity rather than performance. You'll spend your irreplaceable attention on what actually expands you. The world didn't become more complicated. Your ability to navigate it just became infinitely more sophisticated. Trust the process. Be extraordinarily gentle with yourself during the integration. Rest without guilt. Say no without explanation. Release without apology. The discomfort is finite. The expanded awareness is forever. What feels like everything quietly falling apart is actually everything quietly falling into its rightful place. You're not losing your old life. You're gaining the one you were always capable of living. Welcome to the next level. It's been waiting for you.